Get ready for the old school hustle at Ridgela Theater in Fort Worth, Texas. Join IHWE on November 5th, 2017 for great wrestling and a great cause benefiting the Hurricane Harvey relief. Doors open at 5 p.m. Bell time is at 6 p.m. For more information, follow them on Twitter at IHWE Wrestling. That's at IHWE Wrestling. This podcast is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first. No, I'm not reading the rest of this. I quit. Hey, you guys, on the podcast, just click your buttons and come on, start the show.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gamefly. For our listeners of the Gimmick Table, Gamefly is offering a 1-month free trial by signing up at www.gameflyoffer.com/gimmick. And that's how you're going to take advantage of this awesome offer just for being a listener of our show. And welcome to the 11th installment of the Gimmick Table. So glad that you could join us today. I am your host, Matt, and I'm joined by my lovely, lovely co-host. He is the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion to my Dorothy. He is Bats. How you doing today, Bats?
I'm doing good, man.
So explain to all the people who listen to this show how you won the debate to use this as our intro today. How you are all three of these things to me.
I mean, I'm your courage to get up on the air and talk to all these people. I am your
stupidity. How are you my stupidity?
Well, so I mean, I'd say some dumb things, man. But I'm some brains too.
It's late, guys. I screwed up time zones, or the understanding of time zones. So I apologize. It is late. Bats is up. I owe him big time. And lastly, how are you my heart?
I don't even remember what I said.
You see? Terrible debater. Terrible debater. And on to more important things, such as wrestling. For instance, we have the Making Towns Classic, which is going to be coming to Nashville, Tennessee on May 12th of 2018. You're going to have 16 women in one night with one winner wearing one crown. And they have announced their first participant for this awesome show. It is going to be Delilah Doom. So you're definitely not going to want to miss it. And you're going to want to keep up to date with all the announcements that they're going to be making in regards to participants and a bunch of other things. So make sure, if you're on Twitter, you follow them at the MT Classic. All right, guys, and on today's show, we have a really, really funny guy. Kind of glad that we had to wait so late to record because all inhibition went out the window on this one. I'm still cracking up over some of the things that he said. So please join us in welcoming to the Gimmick Table. You're going to come to know him as the man of a million gimmicks, Owen Travers. How you doing today, Owen? All right, everybody, please join us in welcoming to the Gimmick Table, Owen Travers. How you doing today, Owen?
I am adequate to fantastic, Matt.
That's good to hear. That might be the best response to the how you're doing question I've ever gotten.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah? Is that different?
Can I start using that in my everyday life? We can try to get it a thing going, you know?
I'm going to drop the fantastic part and just start saying, it's adequate.
Yep.
And thank you for sticking around with us. And once again, I do apologize for my inability to understand time zones.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It should have dawned on me. I should have looked at you guys' profile page, and clearly it states you guys are in New York City. Like, I used to live on the east side, so I should have... I don't know.
And I had a feeling almost before I called. I was like, all right, I sent him a message. I haven't heard anything back. I was like, I don't think I really elaborated on the fact that we're in New York and he's in Las Vegas. So this might make things a little difficult. And then we call and we had, I thought I called the wrong number because somebody was just like, who the hell is this?
And that will be my brother. My brother, like, he's always there for me. Everyone. Anytime I need them, and usually I will always get unknown numbers calling me, and it's either a bill collector or just someone who's trying to get me to do some kind of a survey. So he was like right there for me, like, who the hell is this? But then, like, I heard you guys in the background as I'm in the ring training. I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like, did he just say Gimmick Table? I'm like, I hurried up and ran to the phone. So by the time it hung up, so I'm like, oh man, I gotta hurry up and message Matt. see if everything's okay.
You had the look on Matt's face when he answered. He was like, "Oh, did I call the wrong number?"
I was pretty sure. I was like, did he just like give me the wrong phone number? Is this not happening today? What's that called when a girl gives you the wrong phone? There's a name for it, isn't there?
Is it?
I think there's a name for like when a girl puts the wrong phone number into your phone.
I don't know.
There's probably a word. There's probably a name for it.
Should be called ghosting.
That's something else. Like what?
That's why
We should create our own name. We should create our own name for that. Make it up ourselves.
What could that be?
Let's see. Everyone uses swerve nowadays. So how about I don't know.
That's a swerve.
Curveball.
Yeah. How about this? You've just been doled. DOLED.
Doled. I like it. I doled that guy.
There was an episode of Seinfeld about this.
Dude, I think there's a pretty much
Elaine does it.
I'm pretty sure there's an episode of Seinfeld about everything. Well, actually, nothing, because the show is about nothing.
According to Urban Dictionary, it's just called wrong numbered.
That's not even original.
Right? That's not clever at all.
All right, listeners, come up with something really good for us, and we'll give you a shout on the air. Tweet it to us if you can think of anything. But I like doled that's pretty good.
Only the simple fact because I'm eating dole sliced peaches right now.
Nice.
That's the first word that came to my head.
You can find inspiration in anything.
It's like the worst sequel to The Usual Suspects.
See, I told you being tired was going to give us great content because it's what happens. All your inhibitions just go out the window.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. This is going to be good.
My girlfriend's going to be like, "Thanks for keeping me up till 3 o'clock in the morning with all your laughter." But hey, I got to get up when she gets up, so doesn't make a difference. We're in the same boat.
Yep.
All right, so let's get it started off. When did you first get introduced to professional wrestling?
Oh no. Oh man. All right. Okay, so this is how it went down. I've been asked this question so many times, and the reactions is what gets me all the time. So being able that I can't see a reaction after this is going to be really funny. But I was 12 years old. A few of my friends and I were all playing Dragon Ball Z in the basement. We're like shooting fireballs at each other. I was Goku. One of my other friends was Vegeta. The other guy was Gohan or Piccolo. And we would just fight in the basement, and we'd make all these huge, we'll take like a bunch of pieces of paper and ball it up into this huge ball, and we would use that as a spirit bomb and just have a lot of fun with it. It came to a point where we were so bored of playing Dragon Ball Z in our basement. Mind you, we're young. I go upstairs to use the bathroom, and as I come back downstairs, I see my friends Brandon and Michael. They're on my mattress wrestling around like they're putting each other in holds. It's just looked awkward to me, and the first thing that came into my head was like, oh my god, these guys are gay. I screamed. I said, you guys are gay. Get out of my house right now. And I was about to run upstairs and tell my mother. They pleaded. They said, no, Owen, no, this isn't gay. We're wrestling. This is all we're wrestling. This is what it's about. And from there, they introduced me to professional wrestling. And I went over to their place the very next day, and they popped in the old N64 video game, WrestleMania 2000, and I saw, like, The Rock and Stone Cold, and they were showing me videos and stuff like that, VHS tapes that they had. I'm like, I'm feeling this. I'm really liking wrestling right now. So from there on out, I fell in love with it.
Okay, so you have the best answer ever to how are you, and now you might have the funniest story ever for an introduction to professional wrestling. But I don't know if you've listened to any of our other shows. I can't escape Dragon Ball Z. It is like a running theme on this show. Like, it must get brought up, I think, out of 11 episodes, at least 6 times now.
I don't know. Wrestlers love DBZ, man.
Apparently, they go hand in hand with one another.
Because I don't really speak for professional wrestlers, but in my sense, Dragon Ball Z is kind of connected with professional wrestling because the emotion, that the Dragon Ball Z characters bring out. Like, if you look at Goku, it takes him 7 episodes to unleash a spirit bomb, and it's just the emotion that they put behind it. You won't even recognize it's 7 episodes. You're just focused on the emotion, what's going to happen next. And with wrestling, that's what we try to do, is suspend everyone's disbelief. It's either that or it's just the fact that some of us just like to play Dragon Ball Z in the ring as a character or something. I don't know.
Well, no, the consensus seems to be that it's about the emotion and that, building of strength and the, hero coming from behind to win at the very end. That's, we've had a couple of guys say that to us, that's really what it's like. It's pretty much a cartoon version of wrestling, but it draws you in.
Yeah, so that's it.
So you're about 12 years old, and you say, a couple of the first guys you got to see were Rock, Stone Cold, so obviously the Attitude Era we're talking about here. Who were some of the guys that stuck out to you and you enjoyed watching early on?
Early on, aside from the Rock and Stone Cold, I would say Chris Benoit, God rest his soul, like, despite what he did. Like, I don't care, what Chris Benoit did. It's what Benoit did in the ring that stuck out to me, that still stays with me. Because Chris Benoit was so intense. Like, the moment his music hits, he comes out and he's very serious, and people would think, just this guy, just built son of a gun coming out, all cut up and shredded up and whatnot. But when he gets in that ring, the intensity he puts behind every single move, that crippler crossface, his German, his punches, the way he sells, like, he takes a punch and it just looks good,
I agree 100%. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
He's also one of the best wrestlers in those video games.
I agree. But there's also, Kurt Angle. I was always a fan of amateur wrestling, and Kurt Angle shows up and he shows off. Like, I like Kurt Angle a lot. I have a lot of respect for him.
And what about now? Kind of, do you still watch as a fan?
Oh, yes. I watch it every single time I get, like, every Monday night, every Tuesday night, and then afterwards, as soon as SmackDown's over, I'm hopping on 205 Live to watch it. And then Wednesday is NXT, Thursday, I'm watching all the classics. Then comes Friday, I'm watching more of the Attitude Era. And, it just goes on and on. But, like, in this modern day and age of wrestling, who I'm looking at right now happens to be Neville. He's my height. I like his size. I like the way he looks. His gear is nice. Like, I want to pattern myself after him because I look up to him so much.
Yeah, Neville is great. I wish the one downside with, 205 Live is that I don't always get an opportunity to see it, and unfortunately he's showcased there a lot, so I don't get to see enough of the Cruiserweights as I'd like. But I'd really like to see him more integrated into the storyline as opposed to being their own separate brand.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I agree. The way they have Neville going on right now, as a king of the Cruiserweight, he took that and he ran with it. Like, anyone can take something off of a script and just say, hey, run with this, and they run with it, but sometimes they can make it flop, but sometimes they can turn it into gold. I think Neville is trying to turn it into gold without having to actually use a crown to be called king. His crown is the Cruiserweight Championship, and when he lost it, he still called himself the king. Guess what he did? He ended up getting it right back. Like, that kind of story as a king of the Cruiserweights, that's really good,
Oh, definitely, and I think it's more like you said, he doesn't need the crown because he kind of encompasses the whole attitude along with the title.
Exactly.
I think what they took him from to what he is now, there's a lot more personality and there's a lot more that people can believe in behind this character opposed to who he was before, as kind of that face.
Right.
So when did you realize that you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
It was about around 17, 18. Yeah, 17 years old. I was back in high school. I would always wrestle with some of my friends. We would always just act a fool because my favorite thing was when Brock Lesnar first came into the WWE, he was using an F5. And from there on out, I was like, I have to pattern that move. I want to use that move. So, like, sure, they'd say don't try this at home, but they never said anything about don't try this at school. So I'm at school with some of my friends, and I would literally lift them up, put them on my shoulders, and give them an F5 on the floor. And it got to a point where one of my friends' girlfriends got in the way of it. She was talking all her trash and whatnot. I'm like, all right, watch yourself, just joking around and whatnot. And sure enough, one day I caught her after the bell rung, picked her up on my shoulders, and I gave her an F5 as well onto the floor. And, like, everyone's going nuts, screaming and just saying, oh my gosh, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
How did she feel afterwards?
She well, considering she didn't know a thing about wrestling, she just got up, shook it off, walked away.
Stopped running her mouth after that.
It's like just no sold my F5. That's perfectly fine. Just get up and walk away. Everything's fine with me.
She's just that tough. She just can take an F5.
Yeah, she was just that tough. She got right back up, shook it off, laughed, and walked away.
So you get this idea that you want to be a professional wrestler. How did you start your path? How did you get into training?
He just told you he picked up girls in school and F5'd them in the hallway.
Once I ended up running my own promotion a long time ago. I thought I was like the best at wrestling, period, because I had my own little promotion that was ran outside, and then eventually I bought a wrestling ring for $1,200, and we brought it into a building, and then I started making shows out of that. People started coming to the shows and watching it, but they were watching us like be extremely horrible because we didn't know a thing about wrestling. Like, I thought we knew everything about wrestling, but really didn't. There was this guy from Michigan, used to work for Juggalo Championship Wrestling. His name is Brian Wallen. He came in and he wanted to train some of us. Trained us for about 3 months around 2008, and eventually, once I started getting out more, he directed me to Ring of Honor's tryout that was around 2010 in December. And I did the tryout for 2 days. That's where I met Truth Martini, and I paid the money up for him, and I started training like professionally with Truth Martini for 3 months. And from there on out, graduated after 3 months, and I was on my way. Then I had my official debut as a professional wrestler at Viper Pro Wrestling. That was out in, I think, Flat Rock, Michigan.
So what was that like for you? What were you experiencing when you had your first professional match?
Jitters. Like, I was nervous at first, but I was always told, like, if you're nervous, that's always a good thing, because if you're not nervous when going out, you shouldn't even be in the business to begin with, because it's almost as if you know everything about wrestling. Like, you can't stop learning in wrestling. My first match being against El Toro, Mexican wrestler with the cool lucha mask and whatnot, right before my music hits, you know, I'm just sweating bullets. My hands are like, it was just like the Eminem song, you know, like hands are sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy, you know, stuff like that. That's exactly how I was feeling. And then my music hits, but when I go through that curtain, it was like I was just this completely different person. Like, all that nervousness went away. It's like I turned on a light and I was Owen Travers, you know, Mr. Hollywood.
What were some of the takeaways that you had from that first match?
Well, considering it was my first match, being as nervous as I was, it was really hard to try to get over with the crowd. I go to the back after the match, and, you know, I'm giving advice from, like, Truth Martini, Jimmy Jacobs, and, you know, guys like that, like, or even Rhino. Sometimes he was even there at Viper Pro Wrestling. He's telling me, like, it's all about how you entertain the fans, how you grasp after their attention. You know, of course, you're trying to suspend their disbelief. We're trying to put them on that emotional roller coaster. I didn't give them that night because I was so nervous. I was so busy figuring out, here's my next move that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this move next, I'm going to do that move next, and I'm going to kick out of this move, and I think about kicking him here and then doing this move. So, like, that, and I wasn't really the best striker at that time. I was just, like, terrible at throwing punches and forearms.
That's an interesting fact, you were thinking more about, you know, your moveset than kind of the performance for the crowd. How did you get over that, where you were able to kind of transition from move to move and focus more on the emotion of the match and kind of just, you know, more or less roll with the punches of what was going on as it happened?
Well, all it is just gotta keep at it. Time progressed, get better. And eventually, my moves became second nature. The way I would sell in the ring became second nature. So now, all I'm focusing on is, how am I going to go out and entertain the fans here? So nowadays, I would think about how I'm going to go out and make this one kid clap for me so everyone else can do the same. So I would go out, mind you, I know the moves that I'm going to do. I know exactly the facial expressions I'm going to be using for this match. So let me figure out what I'm going to do with this one kid. I go out, and then the boots are put to me, and then I look at that one kid, and then I reach my hand out to that kid, and I see that kid, he starts reaching his hand out to me as well. And then now this kid is starting to tell me, come on, Owen, you can do this. And then all of a sudden, everyone starts following along because they want to be a part although I'm pointing at this one kid, everyone else wants to feel like they should be a part of that match as well. Caused like a chain reaction from just that one kid. And then once I got them on my side, now it's time for me to fight back and then show that fire that I have deep inside, you know?
Find your inner Goku.
Exactly.
Going back to kind of your trainers for just a moment, going back to those early days, how much of an impact has that still had on your career going back to when you first started?
It's a pretty big impact. I mean, because I've been doing this for 6.5 years now, so it's like I still have footage from my old matches, and like sometimes I would still watch it, and I'm like, man, like it's not just like what I'm doing in the ring, but physically the way I'm looking, you know, like I'm still in the process of trying to look really good. Like I'm gaining more size on me, which is really good, but now it's time for me to kind of like tone myself up more. But then my wrestling gear, like I'm a huge stickler when it comes to wrestling gear. Like Steve Harvey, how he doesn't wear the same suit every day, like that's with me in wrestling gear. I will switch up wrestling gear like diapers. I will sit at home, I will make some new trunks, some new kick pads, and I'm on my way. Like when I first started, it was all like buying just solid black wrestling trunks from an amateur wrestling store in Michigan, and then I would just put puffy paint designs all over it, and you know, eventually over a day it would just wear off and whatnot. But now that I know how to actually make professional wrestling gear, to this day it's been progressing, so I've been getting a lot better after that. So it's like more and more I'm changing my character as I go. So
I'm just imagining you sitting at like your kitchen table doing puffy paint designs on a pair of fucking wrestling shorts.
That and eating some ground turkey, that's me, yeah.
Now, only if Wild Turkey's sponsored.
I don't know.
Made using wild turkey.
Placed that on the back of my trunk.
So elaborate for us, who is Owen Travers?
So the name, Owen Travers, a buddy of mine, his name was Frank, he came up with the name Owen Travers. He was putting a book together, but this book of his was never really like published. He really couldn't put any more time into it, but the name itself stands for a stranger from the crossroads. So without having to use that name, I asked him, well, I need a new name, because previously my name was Johnny Blade, but I hated that name. So Frank told me, hey, use this name, Owen Travers, and I just ran with it. So Owen Travers nowadays is this, he's everything. He can be anything he wants to be. Like, a lot of guys out here in Las Vegas give me a lot of crap about it because I go through gimmicks like crazy. You'll see me one day as this guy who looks like Cyclops. Then the next show, I'm this Egyptian, and then the next day, I'm this guy who knows martial arts, and then the next show, I'm Mr. Hollywood character. The next show, I'm this guy from the future, and now I'm the chief of professional wrestling, which is this guy with the expensive suit and the extremely expensive fur coat with a gold cane with a skull on it, you know, stuff like that. But in the end, no matter what gimmick I had out here in Vegas over the past 2 years, I ran with it and I knocked it out of the ballpark. I ran with that gimmick and I made it look good and people loved it. So as much as people give me a lot of crap about those gimmicks, I'm like, I still look to it and I'm like, but I did that and it got me somewhere. Like, it's gotten me booked in other places. So, but I'm really digging this chief gimmick right now. This current Owen Travers is the chief of professional wrestling. He runs Las Vegas, and he also has that background of capoeira martial arts. So
you're like the Jacques and Nagar of professional wrestling.
Yes.
Okay, not to be a buzzkill, but there's no Game of Thrones for 16 plus months. Can we not talk about it? My only goal is that the world survives to the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. Besides watching wrestling, but, you know, that's on weekly.
That would be like an apocalypse quest, find the lost footage of Game of Thrones final season.
Oh, yeah.
But really, you're like the man of 1,000 gimmicks.
Yes. It's funny how you say that, because the promoter for Future Stars of Wrestling out here in Las Vegas, Joe DeFalco, he says, I am the man with 1,000,000 gimmicks.
1,000's not enough?
Right. Yeah, it has to be 1,000,000.
How did you come up with that take to kind of not stick to one gimmick?
Well, I blame movies. I honestly say I have to blame movies, because I see something that I like. I'm like, one day I'm watching X-Men, and then I'm like, ooh, I like the way Cyclops' glasses look. Or I like the way Cyclops uses that little beam when he shoots out of his little laser eyes, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I went on eBay, bought some Cyclops glasses, and then made some gear that looks like it. And then next thing I know, I'm watching The Mummy, and I'm like, oh man, how cool would it be if I was an Egyptian? So I just played this Egyptian character, and like I would make all gold wrestling gear, stuff like that. I blame movies. Anything that I see, I'm just like, I have to pattern myself after it. Like the chief of professional wrestling right now is like, it's because of the artist Jadena. He's a rapper. I guess he's up and coming. Maybe he's popular. I don't know. But I love his song "Long Live the Chief," which is also my theme song now because I saw it from the Netflix show Luke Cage. So like I've used that, and I'm like, I like the way Jadena's dressing. So I started dressing myself like him and stuck with the whole chief.
No, that's sweet, man. I mean, you definitely like to have a lot of fun with this, and that's great.
Yeah, it seems that there's no limits in what you'll do from a creative aspect. That it's really kind of just go whatever comes to mind, what you enjoy, and that's good because if you're 100% invested into it, fans are going to see that and they're going to become invested in that.
Exactly.
Which really leads me to my next question, because my next question is, how do you keep the fans invested in your matches?
By doing exactly what I do. Like, the character's one thing, but what I do in the ring is different. Like, all my moves are the same. I'm the type of guy who throws the backflips, the moonsaults. I do the cool kicks, the capoeira. Like, they see the capoeira, which is the Brazilian form of martial art. They see that, they think that's completely different because you don't see that nowadays in professional wrestling. And that alone is what makes me stand out the most. From anybody. Like, once they see that, kids will try to pattern it. They'll try to, mock after it because they like me. But it's just that alone. The moves are completely the same. It's completely different from my actual character. So I can come out looking like Annie for Freak Show Wrestling, with the red hair, the red dress, looking like a ginger, but I'm still in the ring doing capoeira.
That is some in-ring psychology right there against your opponent to come out dressed up like Annie.
I was given that character from Freak Show Wrestling. There's Bodie. He used to work as Varney for the WWE. He currently runs the school Snake Pit with D'Lo Brown and Jake the Snake Robert out here in Las Vegas. But he used to run a show called Freak Show Wrestling, and because Bodie loved the way how I entertain the fans with the way I sell, he came up to me and he was like, I have the perfect character for you, Freak Show Wrestling, because Freak Show Wrestling is exactly what it says it is. It's freak show. It's crazy. You'll see monkeys wrestling. You'll see half-naked dudes with dildos on their shoulders and stuff like that. It's crazy. They gave me a character called Black Annie. Black Annie, I was literally dressed up as Annie, but I was very thuggish. I was very evil. I was very mean. I would snap at the crowd, but I'm also happy at the same time. So.
Was Daddy Warbucks a pimp?
No. We didn't have that character. We didn't have that character.
How did you prepare for that gimmick?
Honestly, it's just a matter of turning that light on, because somebody gave me a bullet point, like a little plot. He said, I want Suge Knight meets Kevin Hart, I want that kind of character. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this character? And then when I hear the word Black Annie, I'm thinking, okay, I have this beard, so I look rugged and I look mean as hell. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this character? And I thought of it, you know what? I'm just going to be this ghetto, obnoxious, loud, crazed black person who's dressed in an Annie costume, like I've just got out of lockup or something, like I just got out of the penitentiary. So I stuck with that. I ran with it. As soon as I ran out there, they played Alien Ant Farm as my theme song, Criminal. So I come out, I'm dancing like crazy, I'm all happy, smiling and whatnot, and by the time I hit the ring, I have this evil, mean mugging face, and I'm flicking people off.
Oh, this is great. I can't believe Key and Peele haven't done a Black Annie.
Oh my God, they should. Yes, they should do that.
They're no longer a show.
I don't know if they even have a show anymore.
Yeah, they canceled the show, man.
They're both pretty busy.
Oh man, they did?
Yeah, well, I don't think they canceled. I just think they kind of moved on to bigger things.
Well, yeah, that movie that Jordan made, the Get Out movie, that was like a really, really big movie in the box office. So he's got some directing gigs.
Ah, okay.
I don't know where to go after Black Annie.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a match? Kind of give us like the lead up for the day of a match.
Well, usually from the moment I wake up, like I wake up in the morning, I get myself mentally prepared. I start eating breakfast, but I'm also figuring out what I'm going to do that very night. And by the time I get there, mind you, like art is subject to change, anything can happen. But as long as you know exactly the moves that you're going to do, you're perfectly fine. So I get there to the show and I get myself in gear. I of course shake everyone's hands, greet everybody, see how they're doing. Naturally, we're all brothers and sisters in professional wrestling. We're here to help each other. We're working with each other, and we're here to entertain the people. So after I'm done greeting everyone, I get my gear together. I get myself ready, do my stretches. I'll get in the ring. I'll probably run around a bit, trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the show. And if there's any specific moves that the guy who I'm working with doesn't know, like I do this cool move where I do a handspring off the rope and I do a leapfrog over them. And then from there, I catch them in the snap power slam, which is the power slam that Randy Orton currently does in WWE. So I would go over that move with them to make sure they get it. And then by the time the doors open, I have my headphones on. I'm ready. I'm listening to my theme song. I'm listening to all these other cool music. Sometimes I listen to the WWE theme song to get myself motivated. And I'm just mentally preparing myself for this match. That way, when it's time, I just go out there and I have this different persona. Like Owen Travers is out there, he's out there.
So speaking of that, what is your favorite WWE theme song?
My favorite WWE theme song right now would have to be, oh man, that's a really good question. It's a toss-up between Finn Balor or Ember Moon.
Keeping in the theme of, your match preparation, how do you continue to grow in your in-ring work from match to match? What do you do to go from match to match and improve, add things to your move set?
Practice. Because it's one thing to be able to go out there and wrestle Thursday through Sunday, and then you're doing it all again the following week after. But you got to keep the fans entertained. Like all of it's hard. It's also easy at the same time. But the thing is, people forget to take professional wrestling seriously, because in order to be someone that people can look up to, you have to look the part. You should look like you should have been on TV yesterday. So you should be at the gym, 4 or 5 days a week. That's what I'm doing. I'm at the gym 4 or 5 days a week, working out, trying to make myself look good. And then I go to the training facility and get in the ring and I train. And then I'm trying to figure out, considering my background with capoeira, I'm like, okay, here's this cool kick that I know how to do, but how can I use this kick and make it seem believable, make this move look good so the people can get behind that's always the challenge. So it's something like that.
Right, without killing your opponent with an actual kick.
Exactly, because naturally, if I were to throw an actual kick, I could literally kick someone's head off. They'll be knocked out for a while. So, even if I'm wearing kick pads, I still have to do it safely. So,
well, we might have to test that. So, if you're ever in New York, we can run a gimmick table experiment on YouTube where you kick bats in the head.
Sounds good. I'm actually planning on going out to New York eventually.
All right.
I'm out of town that day.
No, he won't be. He doesn't go anywhere.
That's kind of true.
The good thing was, he went home. We had the time zone issues earlier, and he goes home. Good thing he just lives right next door, or he'd always be late. We would still be waiting for him to get here if he lived more than 20 minutes away.
If I lived more than next door away.
Yeah, I think it took you 15 minutes to get from your house to my house.
Yep.
So when did you realize that being a professional wrestler wasn't kind of just a dream anymore, but you realized that you were doing this and you were doing it successfully?
After 3-4 years in, because eventually I started traveling a lot more often. Like when I was in the Midwest, where I was out there in Michigan, it was always going from Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, Illinois, stuff like that. But it became a frequent thing. So Thursday, I'm always at IWA Mid-South out in Clarksville, Indiana, which is 5.5 hours out. And then on Friday, I'm in Ohio. Saturday, I'm back in Michigan. Sunday, I'm in Kentucky or Indiana or something like that. But it became so so consistent. Like, now I realize, oh man, I'm chasing this dream. So now it's becoming a lifestyle to me. So like after 4 years in, I'm like, this is just a lifestyle. Because now I'm out here to make money and make something out of myself. Like, naturally, you know, everyone would travel out for the money. You know, they wanna charge an arm and a leg just to wrestle for 8 to 10 minutes after driving 5 to 6 hours out to a show. Me personally, sometimes it's not really about the money. Sometimes I like to just go out to these shows and entertain the people, because without the people, you can't really be good at what you do. You know, because now people are going to start talking about you more, and then it's going to start getting out, and eventually promoters are going to start seeing you from different states. You know.
And how have you handled the success that you've achieved thus far?
I try to handle it the best way I can. Sometimes it does get a little frustrating because some days, I'm doing wrestling gear for people. One of my major pet peeves is I give people a deadline. I let them know when I'm sending them or mailing them their wrestling gear, but then the very next day they ask me, how's the gear coming along? I'm just like, you idiot, I just got started. You know? I haven't even gotten the fabric yet, and people are already annoying me about wrestling gear already. And then when I'm on the road, it gets a little frustrating sometimes, because when I'm out there, you travel 5-6 hours to a show, and then you see like 10, 15 fans out there, even when you're expecting maybe a little bit more, like 100-200 people. And then you go home, and then now you're just like, what a show. You know, it's a struggle sometimes. But regardless of any circumstance, when you're out there, whether it's 10 people, 5 people, 30 people, 3,000 people, you're always out there to entertain those people. Like, turn it on. So, like, it's been like that for me.
And how do you think those tough moments, not having, you know, the turnout that you expected, you know, frustrations with, you know, people asking about the orders, how do you think those have helped you grow overall?
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Repeat that one more time.
With those tough situations, like, you know, having to deal with going out, driving 5-6 hours, not getting the, you know, having the turnout that you expected, how do you think that's helped you grow dealing with those situations?
Just learning to deal with it. I mean, because even though it's like 10, 20 people, and I'm getting paid, you know, starting out, like if you're just starting out in the business, you start getting paid $10 or $20. Sometimes you get paid a hot dog and a handshake, you know, but those 10 or 20 people who have been there would come up to you and they'll buy your merch. You know, they'll buy all your T-shirts, your DVDs, stuff like that. So, in a sense, these 10 or 20 people are actually adding you on your social media account, and they're following you as you go along, you know, which builds more of a fan base, which is really cool, but, you know.
Right, it's got more of the long-term payoff, it's, you know, opposed to the short-term payoff if you're not getting the monetary or the financial to obviously help you survive, but, you know, those people that are going out there, they're still getting that moment that they came out there for, and you still get to deliver that.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, only reason why I feel like sometimes it's not about the money with me, because I can make the money at home just by making wrestling gear, you know, or it's gotten to a point where now I'm more street smart about how to make myself into a businessman. So I have my own screen printer. So now I make my own T-shirts. My T-shirts I make now are for cheap, but I sell them for the original price that they're sold. You know, like sometimes anyone can pay $175 to $250 for just 24 T-shirts. But with your own supplies, your own screen printer, your own T-shirt, you probably get that done in just $50 to $100, and now you're making double the money. Even with making wrestling gear, you spend $200 some odd on wrestling gear, you know, just to wear for a few months, and then now you have like new ones. But I could just go to the fabric store, buy some fabric on my own for $14, and I'll start making my own wrestling gear from scratch. Save myself a lot of money.
You're gonna have to make Bats some wrestling trunks. He's starting his wrestling career as a tag team.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not really, but you know, he does have a tag team partner, one of our former guests, Benjamin Banks. They're the Fresh Princes.
Well, how about that? Well, hit me up then.
Gonna need some gear. We should get some gear. It'd be funny. We can wear it. We can start. We'll get a.
You need some gear for when you go through a table.
We don't talk about me going through a table.
We've talked about it on like every episode.
Right, but I don't want to talk about it anymore because
it's getting very close to your impending doom.
Pray for me. So you have had the opportunity to wrestle for Ring of Honor. Tell us about that experience.
It was surreal. It was a surreal feeling because it was almost as if the WWE was calling me to come work for them. Because Ring of Honor is so big. I've always wanted to be in Ring of Honor. And it was October, I think it was October 3rd, 2012. I got a call from my trainer, Truth Martini, and he said, yo, I have a match for you. It's going to be on television. It's going to be on pay-per-view. It's you versus Tadarius Thomas, October 11th at Kalamazoo, Michigan. I flipped out. Like, like in my mind, I'm flipping out, but as I'm on the phone, I'm just like, cool, thank you. I am humbled for the opportunity. I can't wait to be there. But the moment I hung up that phone, I was doing backflips all over my yard. I got into Ring of Honor. There goes those jitters, those nervousness that was happening again. But, you know, I went out there, I turned it on, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then the second time I started working with Ring of Honor was just a dark match. I was to work with a 70-year-old blind man. His name was Father Time. He came out and he cut this promo talking about TikTok. This was out in Dearborn, Michigan. And the ROH crowd was just so into him. They loved him so much. And me being the bad guy, I came out and I beat the snot out of him. And I got booed so much. There were a few people who were really threatening to beat me up because I was beating up a legally blind 70-year-old man who was a wrestler. So that was a lot of fun.
Did he come back and Goku you?
He actually, I think I still have the image on my computer, but he hooks me for this sleeper hold, and I fell asleep. Naturally, anyone would fall after being put to sleep, but I was still standing, sleeping. The referee raised his hand, and I'm literally standing right next to Father Time and the referee sleeping.
What were your takeaways from working for Ring of Honor? Just the experience as a whole, you know, kind of how you were treated and things like that.
It's scary. I mean, because you go through because everyone knows everyone at Ring of Honor, and being that new guy who was just given an opportunity to work for Ring of Honor for just this one show, you know, being a filler, if anything, it's just scary because there are a lot of guys in the back who are really cool with each other. They have their, you know, there's always these cliques with each other and stuff like that, and some of the guys, some of them would be worried like, oh, this guy's going to take my spot one day, so I'm not going to like him, you know, stuff like that. But you always have to be humble in the back. You always have to have a positive mental attitude. Shake hands, greet people, stuff like that, and, you know, just be on your best behavior, you know, mouth shut, ears open. So, like, being an oddball out, I had to be aware of my surroundings. I also had to be very humble, and I had to be, like, aware of what's getting ready to happen next, you know? Like, I would love to make friends there, but, you know, that comes in time, you know, working and showing face, so.
And now, doing this for almost 6 years, what have been some of the moments that have meant the most to you?
Usually people would say winning this title or winning that title. I'm not all about championships because, you know, a championship is a championship to me. Like, I would love to be a champion one day, but I would just, I don't know. I would have to say the people, because without the people, like, I wouldn't be Owen Travers. You know, like, sometimes I would always hop on social media and I'm asking friends, what would you like to see out of Owen Travers? Or what color gear should Owen Travers be wearing? Or anything. You know, like, I try to interact with the people as much as possible. You know, they're the biggest critics, and they're my biggest progression. You know, like, they've helped me along the way.
Well, it's good that you have that attitude because, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if there's nobody there to watch, you're not going to be, you know, too successful being a professional wrestler if you don't have that connection with the fan. Whether you're a heel or a face, you have to be able to connect to the audience some way or another.
Yep, you can't. I mean, you know, like, either as a heel, you're the bad guy, and you don't give the fans, you know, you don't show them that attention. They're not even going to care about you. They're not even, like, they'll see people on their phone, and their phones on their Facebook, probably talking about you, you know? And, like, then there are those baby faces where they're getting their ass kicked, but they can't really get the emotion, the attachment with the fans because they're not really in tune with you. You know, maybe it's because your moves suck. Maybe it's because they just don't like you, or maybe because you're just too quiet.
You've had the opportunity to play both. What do you prefer, to be a heel or a face?
It is so easy to play the bad guy, but I'd rather be the babyface. Simply because as the bad guy, sure, you can do whatever you want, pretty much. I mean, it's very easy to get the people to hate you. But as a babyface, if you tap into that emotion and you reach out to the fans for that sympathy, they're going to remember you the next day. And more than likely, they're going to end up buying all of your stuff because they hate buying, for some reason, they hate buying the bad guy stuff. So, like, the bad guy's really going home with almost nothing. While the babyface, who just lost the match, is going home with almost, $100, $200 made from just merchandise.
I mean, I'm gonna buy. I'm me personally. I'm a fan of the heels, so I'll buy all the merchandise. I like the bad guys. I just think as you get older, I think that's something as a fan, you almost the heels are just more appealing to you than some of the baby faces you see.
I mean, look at it now in WWE today. Like people are purposely booing John Cena because they want him to be a heel.
Yes.
I mean,
people are like booing. People are cheering for. They're cheering for guys like Kevin Owens. Even though he's a heel, he's a bad guy.
But he's amazing.
Yeah, because what he's done,
Yeah, he's had
nowadays people are cheering for the Miz because of what he's speaking on that microphone.
I think the heel is like a little more dynamic because like the babyface, you're always rooting for them to win. The heel, sometimes you want to see them lose, but sometimes you want to see them win.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but I just think as I've gotten older, I think anybody who grew up in the Attitude Era might have like that effect. Because if you look at guys like Stone Cold or The Rock, they kind of towed the line. Didn't know what they were at all times, It
depended on the situation.
Right. And I think that's really what people connect with is that some almost being unpredictable in a way. And being more in the, shades of gray opposed to so black and white, I'm a good guy, you're a bad guy. There shouldn't be line.
Every bad guy is someone's good guy and every bad guy is someone's good guy and every good guy is someone's bad guy.
Yep.
Are we going to just go back with cliches here?
I had a better thing to say, but I forgot it while I was saying it.
So what are some of your favorite matches that you've performed in?
There's quite a few. There's a ladder match that I had a long time ago back in Michigan for Metro Wrestling Alliance. It was against Donovan Danhausen, and that match was pretty cool, given that it was my first actual ladder match. And then there's I've always moving out here to Vegas. This is guy's name is Nick Bugatti. Now, mind you, Nick Bugatti and his favorite Maserati, her name is actual Maserati is her name, who comes out with him doing ringside. They were so underrated because Nick Bugatti he was new. But this kid, he has a mind. He has a brilliant mind for professional wrestling. And we ended up doing a program together after I was eliminated after a match. He pulls my leg out, caused me to get eliminated out of this huge battle royal. And then here starts this huge program between Owen Travers versus Nick Bugatti. And we went at it toe-to-toe. It was great. Every single match, the psychology, everything was there. The chemistry, it was there. Even with Maserati, she was there when we needed her to be. We had a street fight, and then that street fight ended up turning into an I Quit match. The I Quit match ended up turning into a dog collar match, which was a big blow at the Silverton Casino. And everyone was in love with every single match. They were behind us every single time because of the story that we told. If I had the chance of working with Nick Bugatti and Maserati again, I would definitely do that because those kids, both of them, Maserati and Nick Bugatti, they both need to get out of Las Vegas. They need to leave Las Vegas because they are that good. Together as a couple, they call themselves the power couple for a reason. Yeah, they live the gimmick inside and outside. They're very, very good at what they do. They should be out of Las Vegas, go to Arizona. They should fly to the East Coast for other shows and stuff like that because they're naturally really good. People would learn a lot from them. I've learned a lot from Nick Bugatti. So possibly my best match ever was the dog collar match between me and him.
What were some of your takeaways from that match?
From the dog collar match? Well, the build-up for that match only was the dog collar itself. He threw me over the top rope with the dog collar wrapped around my neck, and he started pulling and pulling, so it was almost as if I was being hung, and it made the people so uncomfortable. I'm a huge fan on making the fans uncomfortable to the point point where they have to hate Nick Bugatti. But it was to a point where some people were just like, I really don't like it, so they weren't going to watch that match when it happened. It was one of those takeaways. The other one was probably, it was my third time actually hitting a moonsault off the top rope. The chain was laying on Nick Bugatti's chest as I was performing this moonsault, and as I landed on it, my nuts hit the chain.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So takeaway, watch out for the chain during moonsault.
Yep.
If you had one company, obviously I know WWE's up there, but what other companies would you like to get the opportunity?
Well, there's TNA. I've always wanted to work with TNA, but I have this plan. I really do want to go back to Ring of Honor. Like, I plan on going out to Pennsylvania for a little bit, and I want to train out there. I want to see what it's like to get my foot in the door with Ring of Honor. Like, I want to be on television more often. Like, I want a name for myself. Like, Owen Travers is just a name in Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Las Vegas.
Only those few places.
Arizona. What's that?
Just those few places.
Half the continental U.S.
Right. Like, I would love for my name to be all over the United States. I would love it all over the world, Like, that way, after 15, 16 years in the business, I would open up a wrestling school, I've always, because Truth Martini has this school, the House of Truth Wrestling School, HOT. I would love to open a school called the House of Travers, HOT. Still keep that, but still keep the Truth Martini mantra, Like, but by the time, after 15, 16 years in, I open up a school, people will come to that school because now everyone around the world knows who Owen Travers is.
And it's good that you have that mentality, not being satisfied with just, okay, I've had this amount of success, I'm good with it, but no, you're craving more, you want to have more success, so eventually down the road you can do bigger things, and then obviously, have the school and pass along what you learned to other people so they can start their paths, kind of experience what you've experienced.
Yeah, really perpetuate the whole sport.
Yeah.
It's almost an endless cycle. You got to give back what it's given to you.
Exactly. That's all I want to do.
It's awesome, man. And if you had a dream match, a couple guys, I know probably it's hard to pick just one person, but if you have a dream match, one person that you could wrestle, who would it be?
Leo Rush.
Okay.
Kid's fast.
Yeah.
I've seen his work, he is really good. I don't know how long he's been in the business, but it doesn't even matter. I like the way he looks. I like the way he moves, and I think I can keep up with that. That's motivational. That or Ricochet. I like to keep up with guys like that.
Do you like the small guys, fast paced, Will Ospreay style?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, it's not all about spots, spots, and dot dives and stuff like that I'm into. I like to tell a story within it, though. Why am I doing this dive spot? Why am I doing this crazy spot in the first place? Stuff like that.
And even not the spots. I mean, a lot of people, they think cruiserweight and we're going to see just a bunch of guys flying off the top ropes. There's a lot of cruiserweights who are some of the best wrestlers and have always been. I mean, you look at Jericho, Guerrero, early in their career, they were all considered cruiserweights.
Mm-hmm.
That was some of the best, I don't care what anybody says, some of the best wrestling, during that whole Attitude Era, Monday Night Wars, and that's what kept WCW. Well, one of the reasons outside of the NWO was the cruiserweight division.
I agree.
Yeah, this goes back to the beginning of the episode there where we talk about Dragon Ball Z being an allegory for it.
Everything comes full circle, man.
You see all the nice moves and stuff they do, but without getting the build up of their little story before they do that move, it's not as impactful.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Now, you're obviously somebody who is very humble in what they do, takes everything that it looks like, any experience you have, any advice you get, you take that very seriously. So what advice would you have for somebody who's looking to become a professional wrestler?
Stay out of the business, kid. Don't get into it.
Now, why do you say that?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, you're going to get some good story there.
I've heard that so many times, and I've never got a reason why. Work out. My advice is to just work out. Grab yourself a jump rope. There is no excuse to not work out. People always say, "Oh, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to buy a jump rope. I don't have the money for a jump rope." It's $7, $5 to $7 for a little jump rope, and then you can always work out at home. From the moment you wake up in the morning, after you make your bed, do 10 push-ups. Before you go to bed, do 10 push-ups or 20 push-ups or sit-ups, stuff like that. In the end, you got to work out. out, you gotta make yourself look good, you know? The trainers at any professional wrestling school, they're not gonna be the ones to give you healthy advice, you know, towards like nutrition and stuff like that. They're not gonna give you a list of stuff to eat. That stuff you have to find on your own. You know, we're teaching you the very basic of the basics of professional wrestling, you know, the foundation from the ground up. Listen, you know, starting off in the business, you know, mouth shut, ears open. That means shut your mouth. You know, if trainers are talking to you, critiquing your matches, giving you advice, you don't sit there, you don't chime in and you say, well, you know, I thought about doing this. You just shut your mouth and just say thank you. You know, you can take the advice, or you can just swoop one ear out the other. But in the end, you just say thank you, because that makes you humble in the business. By that time, being humble, you get more opportunities. You'll get in bigger places. That's why I have been graced with the opportunity with Ring of Honor. You know, that's why I've been graced with, you know, being an extra for just the WWE, you know, like a security guard extra. It's because I'm humble. You know, I paid my dues, and, you know, to this day, I still pay my dues. Everyone still pays their dues. They should still be paying their dues, whether you're 15 years, 16 years in, you know. Always help out when you're needed.
That's an awesome attitude to have. And you're right. I mean, in anything you do, you got to remain humble. You know, I mean, it's the way you act is how people are going to see you, you know, regardless if it's who you are. If you're not being who you truly are, then people aren't going to know that.
It's like the thing with, you know, if a fan walks up to you, this crazed fan, they see you at a Walmart or something, or Toys R Us, or wherever you are, and they ask you for an autograph, and you just shove it off, you know, shrug it off. Fine, here, sign the autograph. Here you go, kid. Have a good one. You know, that's very disrespectful. You know, Sasha Banks. You know, like, I really love what she does in the WWE, but I see every single time on Twitter how much she hates fans who come up to her. Mind you, 3 seconds of that fan's time to you is 3 seconds of that 3 seconds is just a lifetime for them. That 3 seconds could mean nothing to the wrestler or the worker, but if that 3 seconds for that fan means a lifetime for them. You know, they just met their biggest idol and they want an autograph for just 3 seconds of their time, you know, of your time. And, you know, I just wish, you know, Sasha Banks would see that, because she's so good in the ring, and yet she gets annoyed by the fans. Now, what if those fans left her, and by the time she comes out, all she hears is her music, and when she's in the ring wrestling, everyone's either on their piss break or they're out buying lunch, ignoring her match? How would she feel then? Now she would want to grasp the attention of the fans. Now, you know, like, pay attention to these fans, because those fans mean a lot more to you than you do to yourself, you know? Like, that's what I was saying earlier.
Right, they're the ones, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the fans are ideally the ones who pay the bills. They're the ones that, if there's no fans, there's no business.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, if there's nobody watching it besides a bunch of wrestlers, I mean, it's going to make for a very low profit margin.
Exactly.
No.
That's why you always take time to thank the fans every single time the show's over, you know? Like, I like to stand, like, I still do. I like to stand by my merch table, and even though fans don't buy my merch, I still look them in the eye and I tell them, thank you for coming. You know, thank you for paying your $20 that I'm going to get paid in just a few minutes.
Now, to be fair, a girl that plays hard to get like that is sometimes more appealing.
That's what you got to hear up on social media. You got to find that one chick, and then you got to be like, hey, thank you for coming. She shrugs it off. She walked away. No worries. She's going to like my next post, and once she likes her, I'm going to find her. I'm going to contact her. I'm going to say, hey, how's it going?
Excuse me. Where can people see you next?
Everywhere. My next show, I actually have to check my calendar, or the people can go to www.owentravers.net and they will see where I'm going next. It's all on my website.
All right. Besides your website, how else can people get a hold of you? Social media?
Oh yeah, find me on Twitter, Owen_Travers, Instagram, official Owen Travers, or Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook as much because everything I post on my Twitter goes to my Facebook, but if you happen to find me on Facebook, Owen Travers.
All right, what we're going to do now is this thing we like to call unhinging the gimmick table. Go a little silly. I don't know how we're going to get sillier than this entire episode. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but we got some good content for this one. I really enjoyed it. But since you are the man of 1,000,000 gimmicks, because 1,000 is not enough, we're gonna have you assign some gimmicks to celebrities.
Uh-oh.
All right. So I'm gonna let Bats take the first one here. Give us a celeb.
I wasn't prepared for this. You told me to come up with something, and this is not what I came up with.
Curveball. You just got doled.
There you go.
So, all right, well, we'll just go with who I had on the list here. Ice Cube.
A gimmick for Ice Cube?
Yep.
Ice Tea. Wait, there is an ice. Duh.
What? Seriously?
This is really difficult. This is crazy. Ice Cube should be the new age junkyard dog. Chains all around his neck, no shirt on, beer belly.
What about Leonardo DiCaprio?
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Considering how he is, let's give him a greasy politician kind of gimmick. Always in suits, and he always believes that he's right, even though he's wrong. He calls himself, check this out, he calls himself a life intervention expert. So put those 3 letters together, life intervention expert, that's exactly what he does.
He could be like the new Paul Heyman.
Yeah, exactly. Be an advocate.
See, I would actually go with a Daniel Bryan-esque character because, like, Daniel Bryan got screwed out of titles, Leo gets screwed out of Oscars.
Yes, that's good.
I heard a theory that the reason we're getting all of this horrible weather and that, like, everything's going wrong in the world is because Leonardo DiCaprio finally won an Oscar and it threw off the balance of the world.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape, man? How do you not win for that movie? The Departed. I don't get it. I don't get it. I could rant for like.
What is this sudden boner you have for Leonardo DiCaprio?
He's the greatest actor of our generation.
Uh-uh.
No, who's the greatest actor of our generation?
That's too good.
Who do you believe the greatest actor of our generation is?
Zac Efron.
Yeah, let's go with Zac Efron.
What? Haven't you ever seen High School Musical or High School Musical 2?
No.
Well, me neither, but I heard they were great movies.
Don't lie, you've seen them. Okay, so here's the next one. Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. He should be the new one. Let him be the Undertaker.
An Italian version of the Undertaker. He'd be an Italian Undertaker.
It's me, the Undertaker.
Rest in peace. I know it sounded like I said pizza, but I said pizza.
Pasta la vista.
That's great.
You got somebody, Bats?
Damon Wayans.
Ooh, Damon Wayans.
Blank Man?
Dude, that's R-Truth's brother.
What?
Yeah, that should be R-Truth's brother.
Oh, shit. I thought you were saying he really is R-Truth's brother. I'd be like, I missed something.
No.
I was
There it
thinking
is right
Major
there.
Payne.
There's the gimmick right there. He's R-Truth's brother.
That's just his name. He doesn't have another. He's just R-Truth's brother.
RTB.
RTB. Who would Hillary Clinton...
Oh my God, I don't know.
Now her and Charlotte Flair.
I don't even want to say Stephanie McMahon.
Well, I mean,
Stephanie McMahon's not that evil.
No.
In character, I mean, her character's less evil. I'm sure she seems like a really nice person with all she does outside of being,
well, I was
the
gonna
bad guy on TV.
I would say like Charlotte Flair or Stephanie McMahon would work too because they're like tough, masculine women.
Yeah, I agree.
Bats is going to get on his knock on his door. It's going to be Charlotte Flair and Stephanie McMahon. They're going to beat him up.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping there to record.
Yeah, I could see that.
And we'll finish up here with... Here we go. He's not a celebrity. Well, he's a celebrity, but Stephen A. Smith of ESPN.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, what?
So I don't even know who that is, so he can be James Ellsworth if all I care.
Well, we'll keep that in there, but I'll come up with a better one. He's the guy, he's always ranting and raving on ESPN.
Where are you going with it?
You know who Stephen A. Smith is. You're going to look at him and go,
Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about. I'm just wondering why you picked him.
Because he's just loud and like, I could see him being like a manager of some sort. I don't know. Going off the cuff here.
Who's big actor right now? Oh, Benja Button Cumbermission, whatever his name.
Get that?
What was that name?
Benja Button Cumbermission. What's his name?
Benjamin Cumberbatch?
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, that.
Doctor Strange.
Is that his name?
Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch, but Benja Button Cumbermission. I don't know, man.
He's British, all right, man? He's British, okay? They're allowed to have the coolest, yet if you were in America, everybody would make fun of you through elementary to high school, through your job for the rest of your life.
First of all,
Obviously.
you can't be named Benedict if you grew up in America because you just, as soon as you start learning about Revolutionary War, oh, you're Benedict Arnold.
Really?
I can't even give him a gimmick. Maybe, oh man. That's a coin toss. I almost want to say, like, give him that Finn Balor kind of gimmick.
Yeah, he's weird. I mean, if you go, like, with the Doctor Strange kind of
Yeah.
that, Yeah. It's a good movie, though, at least. I mean, he may have a weird name, but he can make a film.
The movie was pretty good. I really enjoyed that.
It's quite the mindfuck.
I mean, I could see John Cena because he's like really popular, but not everybody can really see the appeal.
Yeah.
He didn't get the response. You know, he was expecting laughter on that one.
They can't all be gems.
Well, not when you tell him. And who's the guy who plays...
Who else was on my list for my version of...
What was your version?
I was going to give him some iconic movie characters and have like wrestling match between them, but we'll save that for another day.
He's going to make them have a wrestling match?
Like, who would win in a wrestling match between these characters?
Go ahead, give us one.
Like, I had the tag team. I had Craig and Smokey from Friday versus Silas and Jamal from How High.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah, wouldn't that be a sweet match?
What?
You don't even know, see?
I don't even know. You know what? Maybe, I don't know. Silas and Jamal, probably.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously, you know, Silas has got
Silas
the
is
heart.
just gonna light up and burn out the whole fucking whole stadium. Everybody's gonna get high, and then they'll just win.
Well, Smokey might be okay, but Craig,
Yeah.
Craig's probably going to be passed out in the corner.
Smokey will be like,
And you know this, man.
And it's not Friday, so Craig's not going to get high.
Nope.
What else you got on there? That was a good one. He actually did something right.
Oh, Dom Toretto and Roman Pierce versus Mike and Marcus from Bad Boys.
Oh, man, Mike and Marcus. Wait.
Vin Diesel, though.
Yeah, that's that. I just thought about that. It's Vin Diesel.
Like, he can punch, like, a car in half.
Will Smith will probably talk you to death, so.
He'll give some really long, heartfelt speech.
And then you see Martin Lawrence just complaining the entire time.
This is stupid, Mike.
What else you got on there?
Buns versus Nino Brown.
Who?
DMX from Belly versus Nino Brown. Wesley Snipes from New Jack City. Some hardcore gangsters.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Nino Brown for that one.
I don't know, though. DMX. That's a
Maybe
wild...
crazy.
He's a wild card.
Yeah, he could be.
Okay. Robert De Niro in Taxi versus Robert De Niro in Raging Bull.
Robert De Niro and Raging Bull.
I'm going to say Robert De Niro and Meet the Parents.
Is he gonna?
He beats both of them.
He's gonna milk his former characters.
Dude, he's like a former CIA agent. Yeah, he will interrogate them to death.
Yep, put them in the inner circle.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the inner circle.
You're not in the ring of trust.
Right.
All right, well, that's gonna do it here before we pass out talking on microphone. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fun.
Thank you, guys.
This was one of the
You're
funnest,
funny, dude.
Yeah, this is one of the funnest episodes we ever had. And yeah, I mean, if wrestling doesn't work out for you, go the stand-up comedian route because you probably have a career
I don't
as
know.
well.
I don't know. Kevin Hart's already doing that for me. So.
Yeah, but Kevin Hart doesn't dress up in a different costume every stand-up.
That's true.
You could be a wrestling comedian, you know, dress up in full wrestling gimmick and do a comedian, do a comedy show.
That sounds good.
And we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. And once again, I do apologize for the lack of time zone understanding on my end.
Well, didn't really
that
affect
sounds
him.
good.
Right.
He still did the interview at the time he was expecting.
But I refuse to apologize to you. Tell your brother I'm sorry that I got him all riled up.
I'm so mad we didn't have that recorded.
I'm so mad we didn't have that recorded. I would put that up as like a fake episode. Like things went awry on last week's episode. And just have it be like a 30-second episode.
Who else is?
This is Matt from the Gimmick Table. All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us on the show. I hope you have a good week. And
Thank you guys so much. It's been a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
we're glad to hear that. That's what we enjoy, just having a good time, having a good conversation. All right, that wraps it up for us here at the Gimmick Table today. Thank you once again to our guest, Owen Travers, for taking time out of his busy day and dealing with my inability to recognize the difference in time zones. My apologies.
Follow us on Twitter at gimmick_table, on Facebook at Gimmick Table Podcast, on YouTube at Gimmick Table Podcast. We're also on iTunes and Stitcher.
And soon to be on iHeartRadio. And follow all our friends for great wrestling podcasts.
Yeah, we got Wrestling Nerd Alliance, all the way from the 8 Mile. They're on Twitter at WNA Podcast, on Facebook at Wrestling Nerd Alliance, and on iTunes, Stitcher, and Podbean. We also have Wretched Wrestling. They're on Twitter at Wretched Wrestle, Facebook, Wretched Wrestling, and iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Periscope.
Don't forget about S Marks the Spot. They can be found on Twitter at SMarkSpot, as well as Facebook, and they are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podbean. And then we have Raw is Boar. They are on Twitter at Raw is Boar. and Facebook at Raw is Bore. I sound like it's a caveman, man. And they are on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Podium. Thank you once again for listening to the show, and have a wonderful day.
See ya.